Here's the cord necklace accented with baubles that I showed you previously. I've shown you how to make the cord. Now I'm going to show you how to make the baubles. Baubles are a lot of fun. You can do a lot of things with them. You can use them simply for decoration, or you can use them as buttons. You can make fruit and vegetables out of them. You can adorn your gift-wrapped packages with them. You can make jewelry with them. So lots of fun things you can do with baubles. I'm going to show you how to make both 3-stitch and 5-stitch baubles here, but you can make them as big as you want. You can make 11-stitch bauble if you'd like. The more stitches, the bigger they are. I'm also going to show you how to make garland like this, which has baubles incorporated in it. This is a really fun way to use bulky yarn for holiday decorating, for party streamers, all kinds of neat stuff you can do with this. This is different than the cord. This is just a very simple chain, very simple to make, and I'm going to show you how. First, I'm going to show you how to make the 3-stitch bauble. I'm going to start with this 7-stitch swatch, and I'm going to make the bauble right in the middle on the 4th stitch. I'm going to knit the first 3 stitches. Then I'm going to start to knit that 4th stitch. And just like when we made cord at the very beginning, we're going to leave that stitch on the left needle and push our right needle back behind it and do a yarn over on the right needle. And then bring the needle forward, put it into that stitch again, and knit and drop it off. So you now have 3 stitches created out of 1. Now turn your work facing the back and purl those 3 stitches. Turn your work again. And now do not knit that first stitch. Instead, I want you to just slip it right off. Insert your needle front to back like you're going to knit it and just drop it onto your right needle. Knit the next 2 stitches normally. And turn your work. And again, the first stitch, do not purl it. Slip it right off. Insert your needle, drop it right off to the right needle. Purl the next 2 normally. And turn your work. Now, we've got enough rows here. I think this is fat enough. So now I want you to slip that first stitch again. And now the next 2 stitches, you're going to knit them together. So insert your right needle through both of them from front to back. And overlay your yarn, pull it through. So you have knitted those 2 stitches together. Now that first stitch, you're simply going to drop it over the next one. So insert the left needle, pull your yarn tight, and bring that second stitch through that first one. And there's your bauble. Now let's knit the rest of the row so that you can see how it looks finished. And there you go. There's your 3-stitch bauble. Now I'm going to show you how to make a 5-stitch bobble. Let's start again with the 7-stitch swatch. Knit the first 3 stitches. And now we've come to the 4th stitch. We're going to knit in the front, leave the stitch on, push your needle back, yarn over, bring your needle to the front, knit again, and then push your right needle back behind it again and yarn over again. And then bring the right needle in front and knit. So knit, yarn over, knit, yarn over, knit. You're making 5 stitches out of that 1 stitch. Turn your work and purl across. Purl all 5 stitches. And turn your work. And just like with the 3-stitch bobble, you want to skip that first stitch. Slip it onto the right needle. Insert your needle knitwise and just slip it right off. Knit the rest of the stitches. Turn your work, and once again, slip the first stitch off onto the right needle. You might be wondering why we're doing that, and I will show you, and I will explain it to you in a little bit. There is a reason for everything. Turn your work. Slip the first stitch. Knit the next 4. Turn your work. Slip the first stitch. Purl the next 4. Turn your work. Okay, now I think we have enough rows. We're going to slip the first stitch, knit the next stitch, and then pass the first stitch over the second stitch. We're decreasing a stitch. So we're passing the first stitch over the second stitch. Knit the next stitch, and now the last 2 stitches of the bobble we're going to knit together. So insert your needle through both knitwise and knit them together. So you now have 3 stitches instead of 5. You decreased the first 2 and you decreased the last 2, so both of them are slanting towards the middle. You have a nice ball effect. Turn your work, and now we're going to simply purl all 3 of these stitches together at the same time. So insert your right needle through all 3 stitches, overlay your yarn, pull it through, and drop all 3 off that left needle, pull it nice and tight. And let's turn your work one more time. And slip that stitch onto the right needle. And I'm going to just knit the last 3 stitches on the row. And there's your nice big bulky 5-stitch bobble. Now you are probably wondering why I told you to slip the first stitch of a number of rows. This is why. Notice how it's nice and tight around the corners. And you see how it's kind of giving that little bit of elasticity. It's pulling at those edges to give it a nice sphere effect. And here's a good practice for you. Try making this bobble without slipping those stitches, and you'll see the difference. It's going to look a little bit sloppy. So definitely experiment with that. Now I'm going to show you how to make a bobble using a different color from your main color. So here I'm going to make a gold bobble on a red swatch. My main color is actually red here. I'm going to again make the bobble right in the center on the 4th stitch. Now this requires one extra step that you have to perform when you're making a bobble of a different color. You need to add the bobble color a row early on the wrong side. So that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to start on the purl side. I'm going to purl the first 3 stitches with the main color. And now I'm going to purl the 4th stitch using the yellow. So I'm going to drop that on and just purl it. Make sure that the tail of the new color is on the right. And now I'm going to bring back my main color and I'm going to overlay the gold. So make sure that your main color is on top of the second color. Now I'm going to turn my work. And I'm going to just knit the first 3 stitches in the main color. And now we can go ahead and make our bobble using the extra color. Make certain that your main color is overlaying or twisted on top of the secondary color. So I'm going to knit that first stitch, then yarn over, then knit again. Now pull the loose thread tight. And now turn your work. And purl 3. And just continue making your 3-stitch bobble as I showed previously. Okay, and now we're going to finish it off just like previously. Slip the first stitch, knit the next 2 together, and then pass over the first stitch over the second. Now we're going to return to our main color to finish out the row. Once again, make sure the main color, as you pull it over, make sure it goes on top of the secondary color. So here, the red thread needs to go on top of the gold. Pull the ends nice and tight. And there you go. Now, here's why you want to change your colors a row earlier. Why we started with that extra pearl row where we added the gold. If you don't, this is what you're going to get. Notice at the base of this bobble, you can see the red stitch coming through, and you don't want that. Now I'm going to show you how to make this fun bobble garland. This is just a simple knitted chain that I'm going to show you how to make. And I'm going to show you how to change colors to make the bobbles. So we start out with our slip knot. And let's knit one stitch, and you want to drop that stitch back onto the left needle backwards. Let's tighten that up. Knit normally from front to back. Tighten it just a little bit and drop it back on the left needle backwards. Knit it again. Tighten it just slightly. It's important not to make it too tight. And drop it on backwards. And you just continue for however long you need the chain. So there's a nice little length of chain I just created. And you see how it's got a nice kind of uniform effect. So now I'm going to make a 5-stitch bobble in this garland. And it's the same technique that I showed you before. We're going to start to knit this stitch from the front, bring your needle to the back, yarn over, bring it to the front, knit, push your needle back, yarn over again, bring your needle to the front and knit. So knit, yarn over, knit, yarn over, knit. 5 stitches created out of 1. Turn your work. Purl across. Turn your work. And now this is where you have to start skipping the first stitch. So let's drop that right onto the right needle. Do not knit it. Knit to the end. Turn your work. Slip the first stitch to the right needle. Do not purl it. Remember, we do that so that we can create that sphere effect. Okay, so we've come to the end of the bobble now. We're going to finish it off by slipping the first stitch. Knitting the next stitch and passing the first stitch over the second stitch. Knit the middle stitch normally and then knit the last two stitches together. Turn your work and purl the last three stitches together. Now we're going to put our left needle through that base stitch, the one where we added those extra 4 stitches. It should be nice and big. So I'm going to just insert the left needle through it from front to back, and I'm going to drop that remaining stitch from our right needle onto the left needle. So now you have 2 stitches on the left needle. And we're going to knit them together. And we're going to knit them together through the back because it's easier. Simply insert your right needle through the back of both stitches and just knit them together. Pull your yarn nice and tight. And drop your stitch back to the left needle. Knit it and commence knitting garland. Remember, from here on, you need to drop the stitch backwards onto the left needle. Now I'm going to make a bobble with a different color. I'm going to use the red. And the only difference is that you need to remember you have to start with an extra stitch. You have to knit one more stitch in the chain before making the bobble, so that your increase is going to be in that red color, not the gold. So there's the red stitch, and now I am going to knit, yarn over, knit, yarn over, knit in that red loop. Because remember, if you don't, the gold yarn is going to come through at the base, and it'll look sloppy. So now we're going to finish the bobble by inserting the left needle into the base stitch and dropping your last stitch from your right needle to the left needle, and then just knit those two stitches on your left needle together through the back. Pull everything nice and tight. And now we're going to return to the main color, in this case the gold. I'm going to drop that last red stitch from the right needle back to the left needle and knit through the gold. And go back to knitting the garland. I'm going to drop that back on backwards. And I'll make a couple of chain stitches here. So let's finish up the bobble now. We're going to take the two loose ends of the red yarn. Again, pull them tight. Let's cut our end. And let's just tie a knot to secure both ends. And tie one more. And now you can either use a needle or a crochet hook. I'm using a crochet hook. And we're going to do the same thing that we did with the cord. We're simply going to hide the ends inside. So we're going to fish those two ends into the inside of the bobble. Pull it through nice and tight, and then cut it right at the edge there. So there it is, right at the edge. And then all you have to do is puff up your bobble, stretch it out a little bit, and the ends will disappear inside the bobble. So you won't even see them. And there you go. Now let's look at how to create the cord necklace with bobbles. For this, I'm going to be switching to thinner needles and a medium weight yarn because I want to demonstrate using tools which are probably closer to what you're using at home. I'm going to demonstrate using a 3-stitch cord in red, and I'm going to add the 3-stitch bobble in gold. So here's my cord. And I'm going to knit the first stitch in the red. And the second stitch, I'm going to bring in the gold. I'm going to knit that stitch, and then I'm just going to drop it right back onto the left needle. And I'm going to commence making the bobble. I'm going to insert my right needle and do a knit, yarn over, knit in that stitch. And we follow all the steps to make the 3-stitch bobble. And now we're going to finish it by doing a slip the first stitch, knit 2 together, and pass the first stitch over the second. Now I'm going to knit the last stitch in the main color, the red. And I'm going to get my red yarn and I'm going to bring it over and make sure that it is on top of the yellow yarn. Make sure it's on top and pull it nice and tight. Now we can drop those back onto the left. And continue making the cord in the main color. Okay, now that I've done a few extra rows, I can show you how to finish this by hiding the ends, and it's going to be the exact same technique we used with the cord. It's going to be the exact same technique as with hiding the ends of the cord. First, we're going to tie the two loose ends together, like so. Nothing fancy, just a simple knot to secure it. And then we can either use a crochet hook or a needle and just thread the two loose ends into the core or the center of the cord. So let's pull it tight, cut the end right at the edge, and pull. And there you have it.